Welcome to Guy Code, a podcast dedicated to imparting dad wisdom to my son, with your host, Koji Steven Sakai, and friends.
Welcome. My name is Koji, and I'm on the Guy Code here, and this is episode number 12. I can't believe we've already done 12 episodes, and it's been a while since I've done my own episode, because the one good thing about the coronavirus is that all my friends are close to me because we could go through Zoom. And like the last couple episodes, it's been through Zoom. So if the sound isn't on point, it is what it is. So, accept it for what it is. With my son out of school and doing his homework and doing homeschool, because of the coronavirus, I am daydreaming of the day he'll go back to school so I can be all by myself at home again, which is what I really, really love. I love walking around and just being by myself. So I brought on my friend and writing partner, Scott A. Lopez, who's a teacher, screenwriter, and filmmaker, to help me give some advice around, from a teacher's point of view, school. But before I get to that, hi, Scott.
Hey, how's it going, Koji?
I am good.
See where I'm not the only one growing out a beard.
I know. I've decided that I'm not going to shave or cut my hair or cut my fingernails, which my wife hates.
I've cut my fingernails.
I'm not cutting my fingernail. I'm not cutting anything
right.
until this whole thing's over. So
Okay,
Scott,
gonna be yes.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
All right, I've been an educator for 20 years. Originally went to Cal State Fullerton, earned a degree in communications and English, worked in the film business for a while, and as a first career, and then earned a master's in technology and education. And then for the last 20 years, have been an educator in the San Gabriel Valley.
Great. And what grade do you teach?
Currently third grade, but I've
Great.
taught fourth and fifth.
Cool.
As well.
So my son will be in your grade in third grade next year.
Yeah, that's why I'm excited. Let's see if I'm that expert.
Great. Well, Scott mentioned he's a teacher, so I thought it'd be great to bring him on to get some advice, school advice from the point of view of a teacher. Scott's a teacher, obviously, we just said that, and I'm a professor of screenwriting. I don't think I'm a teacher in the same way that you're teaching, because you teach every day and I teach periodically, and I teach adults and you teach little adults.
Yes.
But I am teaching at UCLA Extension and NYFA, New York Film Academy, so I do have a little bit of experience. So Scott, why don't you get us started? What's your first piece of advice for my son?
Okay, first piece of advice. Substitutes. Let's start with substitutes. Right out of my graduate program, I was a sub myself in between film jobs and in between teaching. And it gave me a good perspective of what teaching is all about. You had to go in like a fireman, get hold of the class, get their attention, and then teach them for the day. And before you know it went by. But what I want to tell your son is, use that time for a new perspective. It's a break away from the regular teacher. Some kids rise to the occasion. They do better when the regular teacher's not there. Others fool around when they're not there. But this is an opportunity for him to get a different feel of what the classroom could be, and to observe, stay true to himself, but take advantage of hearing a different voice, a different perspective from a different adult.
I love that advice. I was a substitute teacher too.
Oh, awesome.
Back in the day, and I learned right away that I couldn't be nice Koji. I had to be mean Koji first,
Yes.
and then I could become nicer as you went along, right? But at first I had to be kind of mean. But I do love that advice, because it's really, really close to my advice, which is learn one thing from each teacher.
Oh, good.
So, because every teacher, I think, has something to teach that's really important to them, and you just have to listen enough. Even if you hate the teacher, or you think the teacher's stupid, or you don't, whatever it is, or something. So, recently I was reminded that in 7th grade I took this class. It's called communications. It was at my prep school, and I was a punk, like, bully kid, and I remember the teacher pulled me aside and said, "Homophobia is very unattractive."
Oh.
And at the time, like, being homophobic was not a big deal, right? Everyone was pretty much, all the guys were like forced to be homophobic.
Right.
But that really stuck with me, and that phrase that she said, is, like, to this day, it means a lot to me. And it really, like, I don't know if it changed myself, like, at that moment, but it definitely, it's something I thought about in the last, 30, 40 years, or 40 years, like 20 years since then. Right. But I do think that, if you could if you could just get through each class and really learn that one thing from them, at least the one thing, it'll really make your schooling that much better.
Oh, yes, definitely. While I was subbing there was an opportunity to do high school, and I was over in San Gabriel, and this one student, he was like, tell me about the 80s, tell me the late 80s, tell me about the early 90s. And I was like, what, like 3 years out of college. And so it was still fresh in my head. And it was amazing. So years later, I was at a concert and they're like, hey, teacher, you turn around. It was this kid, except he wasn't 18 anymore. It was like, he's in his 30s and you're like in your late 30s. He was in his early 30s. And it was just great that they never forgot the times I was there or the short amount of time. But it's like you said, you want to learn something from every teacher. There's always something to learn from them. Just like as a teacher, you learn from your class, from your students, and vice versa. It's a give and take, definitely.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's hear your second piece of advice.
Second piece of advice, stay calm, be patient, have realistic expectations. So there's always this pressure. I got to get 100%. I have to be the best in class. Now, when we were growing up, it was a little bit more blunt. They would have like charts and, they would put a red line across, where you stood in the class. But nowadays it's a little un-PC to do that. However, you want to maintain a sense of calmness because that will help you overcome the subjects or the topics you're not that interested in, but you have to pass. And at the same time, it gives you an opportunity to realize you have an opportunity for extra credit, revisions, and to build upon your prior knowledge. You might know more than you actually think at first.
I love that. I love that piece of advice, and I think we're simpatico right now because all your pieces of advice are so similar to mine. So my second advice is don't be an asshole.
Oh, right to the point.
Right to the point. Because I think that first of all, the teacher can make your life hell.
Yes.
Right. They can make your life really, really tough. And the second thing is, they're human, and because they're human,
definitely.
They could, they're not going to give you the benefit of the doubt if you're being a jerk to them. If you're not being nice, they're not gonna like if you're close to a B- and you have a C+, they're not going to give you the B-. Or you need an extra day on your essay, they're not going to give you that extra day on the essay if you've been a jerk to them the whole time. So and the other thing that I would say, well, let me say two things on this. Is one is that one of the most important skills that I love to pass on is this idea that even if you hate somebody, you smile.
Smiling right now.
No, because like you might hate your boss, you might hate somebody who has power over you, and if a lot of times these people, they get off on it when you get to them. Even teachers get that sometimes, right?
Oh, yeah.
They're human. Mm-hmm. So if you smile, you don't show that like they've gotten under your skin. That's a skill. To be able to do. You could be like, I hate this motherfucker. But if you're smiling and just and not take it personally and just kind of, just be good and be nice and go on with your life. I mean, that's a skill that I think everyone needs to do. And that's part of what I think school is. So much of school is about like the social aspect of it,
Most definitely. Definitely. And building upon that, think about it like this. I tell the kids, you're put into a different group every year. And some of them are the same, but you might not like everyone. You're not going to be best friends with everyone, but you don't have to hate anyone. You just got to get through it. And like you said, smile and grin. It's the same way with teachers and other fields as well, be it on the film set, be it in the grade level. You want to work as a team, make the best of it. And over time, you'll get a different team. But stay positive and get through the school year. And don't let it affect you so much. That's what I meant. Like, stay patient, calm. And in the end, it'll work out.
Yeah, that's why I was saying your advice and my advice, they're building on each other, and they're all we're the same advice. So I'd love to hear your third piece of advice. What's your third piece of advice?
All right, third piece of advice is connect the dots. While in any subject, and this can help him at his age now all the way through college, look for patterns, look for clues. It's especially now that we're transitioning over more into the digital age and obtaining our work from more than just the textbook, numerous resources and sources. The learning is the journey. So stay awake, pay attention. It seems simple, seems cliche, but the key is connecting the dots will help you in life and will help you in the classroom and in life.
That's a really good one. I hope he hears that one because I think that's really important. I mean, one of the things him and I actually just had a conversation today about how I was telling him, just because you're smart doesn't mean you get good grades, and just because you get good grades doesn't mean you're smart.
There you
Part
go.
of good grades is just, it's a hustle, right?
Yes.
You're listening, you're outworking people. You can be the smartest person and failing. Likewise, you can
Right.
be the dumbest person and get good grades.
Hey, that's the game. That's the connecting the
Right.
dots. Exactly.
Right. And so to me, that's a really important skill, because and that's life too, right? You could be the most talented baseball player and just not put in the work or try and just never make a career, or you could be the worst and get every ounce of energy out, every ounce of talent out of you and become an all-star. Those are two
Oh,
totally different kinds of people.
certainly. There's going to be subjects or subject matter that is very, they could have an interest in, or it just comes easier to them or to your son.
Yeah.
But overall, you got to make the best of it, and you have to get through those classes. There's just hoops that we have to jump through. So
Yeah,
it's something you do as a kid and you do as an adult.
exactly. Okay, so my next one is the worst kind of students are the ones who think they know everything.
Oh boy,
So
get me started.
so there's a reason I'm the teacher and you're the student.
Right.
And so I think on some level you need to be respectful of that, and I don't know, this might be more of like a thing for my college and graduate students, because they feel like a lot of times, they think that, or sorry, let me tell you one example. I was critiquing somebody's script, and they said, I've written 5 scripts.
Ooh.
And I'm like, okay, that's the thing. It's like, I was trying to explain to him that I take criticism. People criticize my work. It's not like and I've written things that have been made, not, so we're never at a point where we can't take some criticism or commentary, or trying to think that more more than the teacher. There's a reason we're teaching. So at least, it kind of comes back to my first advice, which is like, take something, even if you think you know more than the teacher, because there have been obviously times when I thought I knew more than the teacher, but even if you think you know more, there's something that teacher will bring to the table that you didn't think of, you didn't know, because the thing that my students don't know is I still take screenwriting classes.
Right.
I take other people's screenwriting classes. I sit through it. I don't go in that class being like, I'm a screenwriting teacher, I know what I'm doing. No, I sit there and I go through whatever they're teaching me. I do their homework, because to me it's valuable, because if it's great, I'm going to use it in my students. If it's not so great, at least it helps me with my perspective on what I'm doing and how it could improve my work or my teaching. Right.
Oh, exactly. And then that's how we met. I took one of your classes. It was a day course at the Japanese American Museum. And what was great was I respect you as a writer and as a person and as an instructor.
Yeah.
And then from there, we were able to critique each other's projects. And I learned even more advice after you did a reading on some of my projects. And then I love reading advanced copy, I guess, of Zombie Run, your book.
That's right.
And so that I learned from your advice, critiquing my work, and then enjoying your work as well as both a novelist and as a screenwriter. And you can never stop learning, and we learn from each other.
Yeah, so and I think that's the right attitude. Is you always learn. You're always learning. Nobody's so great that that you're never ready to learn. So even so especially for students, it's even more important that they're there to learn something, and that they should try to keep that in mind. All right. So what's your next piece of advice? I think we're 4.
Yes, number 4. I'm working my way up, I guess, in no particular order. But this one is be able to pivot, be open to new ideas, teaching styles, learning tools, and circumstances. And what I mean by that is, okay, we talked about the subs. They have a different style coming in. The teaching styles of each teacher from year to year, or when you're a little bit older, from subject to subject. The tools are changing. Like I said, we're going more digital. But this pandemic that we're in and teaching from home has totally made you turn on a dime. I mean, we were told as educators, next week you're teaching from home. So we had to learn quickly and adapt. And for the kids, it took them about 2-3 weeks to get into the groove of things. But hey, it just tells you that you never know what to expect in the future.
That's great. How is online learning going for you, or online teaching going for you?
Oh, well, my master's was in technology and education, so this was something I've always been waiting for. When back then it was like when I got that master's, it was like 10 years ago. And now technology is at the point that we can actually do what we were taught years ago in theory, and so it's been pretty exciting. But it's just under the wrong circumstances.
Yeah,
maybe in the future I'll be doing it full time. Who knows?
Yeah, all my classes are online right now, but I love being in front of the students. I mean, I'm always offered the opportunity to teach in online or in person, and there's something about me being in front of the students and me being able to like, 'cause just interacting with them and getting to know them on a different level than seeing them on Zoom or seeing them anywhere. It's just
Right.
different, you know?
It is. It is that
Um,
personal touch.
it feels like, yeah, I mean, when I'm on Zoom with my students, it feels like we're very far apart. It feels like I don't know if they're listening, especially when they turn their video off, you know, and I don't really know what's going on. And it just feels like, you know, because I know what I would have done if I were
Yes.
their age. I would have got on, said hello, turned it off, walked away. You know, like
That might be happening. I go, hey, are you there? Are you there? And it's like their little icon or their,
yeah,
you know, it's not them. And then others are eating their cereal or just
yeah,
waking out of bed. And
yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
Exactly.
it just takes a certain amount of a certain like maturity, I think, in a student. You know, like for my son, I'm not even sure what happens in second grade. You know, like I'm just like I think they're just like talking as far as I can
Right.
tell.
That's a good age, though.
Yeah.
You're setting things up for later.
But I do think it's good. I mean, you know, one of the things from online learning is that it's forcing them to be. It's the good thing for me is, at least as a parent, has been that it's giving me perspective of where my son is.
Oh,
You
right.
know, like, and things that I need to work with him on, and things that are things that I didn't realize because I was never there with him on for these kinds of things. Like, for example, just like I didn't realize how much. I mean, he's second grade, so, but I never realized that, you know, that there's like almost no ability to work on him by himself. Like,
Oh, yes,
there's
yes.
no like there's no self-starting element. It's like very much like I have to sit there and like, so what I'm helping him do is like, no, you can read the book on your own and then answer these questions. I don't have to read it with you and tell you to answer a question. You know, like it's those kinds of, because I think at school that, I mean, he's second grade, but
Yes.
like they're still very much at that point where, but I'm like, no, it's like, that's not how life works. You know, like in college, I'm not going to be there
Oh, no.
reading with you, you know, like,
They got to be self-motivated. But, well, I mean, I thank you as a parent for doing that, of course. And it's great because you're giving him that support and letting him know that over time he's going to have to build that skill.
Yeah.
And even then, like, you want to be motivated, but you want that support. And I think that's what teachers do nowadays. They call it more of a guide on the side, not a sage on the stage. So you get the lesson going, maybe about 20 minutes for every hour, and then you let them work independently, be it on the computer or on paper, for about 30. And then you're guiding them and walking around whoever needs support.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you know, you bring them back into that circle.
Yeah.
And I think that's great. But at the same time, you're making the best of the situation. You're bonding with your son. You see what his needs are. And
No, we're fighting a lot.
with your martial arts, you're literally fighting.
Yeah, we're literally fighting. Okay. All right. Well, my next one is if you're having problems, talk to your teachers early. You know, whether it's another student, personal issues, not understanding the material. The earlier you talk to us, the better.
Yes.
Talking to us the day of the final or the day something is due is not going to help. You know,
No,
I think
not at all.
giving us a heads up about something way earlier. Well, you know, again, we're human and we understand that life gets in the way of things. And, you know, I'm super understanding. I never, as a teacher, I don't really care if you turn it on in time or not, but I'm not going to like accept like 2 months late. Right. But like, you know, but at the same time, like if you tell me something's going on and you need an extra week, I'm cool. You know, like I'm not gonna mark you down or I'm not gonna give you a fail or something, but I need to know, you know.
Sure.
And conversely, a similar note, you know, you can't use the same excuse multiple times. So you can't say my mom died twice, right? So you have to be, you know, like it should be truthful and it should be, but you know, being able to like, again, talk to your teacher. The teachers seem like a lot of times they seem scary and they seem like they are kind of on Mount Rushmore or something, but they're human. And, you know, and if you talk to them and you get to know them on a personal level and you tell them what's going on early, they'll help you earlier and they'll come up with solutions for whatever problem you're dealing with, whether it's a home issue or a life issue or school, some, you know, other students or whatever it is, right? It'll really help kind of move it forward. I mean, I've met teachers that aren't okay with it either. And then if you know that early, that's fine too, right? At least you know, like I got to get my final done. I'll just, or whatever thing it, you know, like he or she's not going to allow it to be done. But I think most teachers would be relatively pretty cool, especially if it's like a real thing. Like if you're saying your mom, like my mom is dying of cancer, you know, and I just need like a couple days, like most people I think would be like, okay, like, right. Like,
They would be.
But then again, if you're an asshole, they might not be. So
but in the end, we want success for our students.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you got to be flexible. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Well, what's your last piece of advice?
All right. So I know we both enjoy sports. So the one I like to start off with, it starts at back to school night. Have you been to back to school nights with your son? Or
Oh, of course. Yeah. We have to go.
So think of school, or think of the school year as a marathon, but I think of it more like a football season, where you start off with preseason. That'll be like that first couple of weeks. You're breaking the ice, getting to know people. You move on through the season, the fall through early winter. Head into the playoffs, which are the couple months leading up to the state testing. And then the state testing, that's the Super Bowl of learning. That's when, boom, that's when you want to peak. That's when you want to reach your full potential. And so it's a good sports analogy. I don't know what the younger ones always know about football, but I try to tell them it's all about pacing, and it's all about preparing and to shine at the right moment.
I hate those state tests, though.
Oh, no. There's arguments on both sides. And this is the first year in a long time that we're not having them. So We'll see. We'll see how we come out of this. Maybe there'll be changes in it. Yeah. Maybe there'll be different ways to evaluate students.
I think so. I mean, because to me, I think tests are great for kids. Mm-hmm. I think they're important because, I think the skill is like, you have to learn, you study, you prepare. And then there's an opportunity to show what you know in a timed period. In a grading period, and then after that, it should be done. You have time to rest. Then you evaluate what you did, and then you do it all over again. Right. But to me, the problem with the testing is that it's a lot of testing, and then it's over, and then you never really find out what happened.
Exactly. You don't get the scores till the summer. You're already somewhere else. Yep.
But for me, it's like that. Like the testing is because life is about testing, right? Mm-hmm. So I do think it's important. I think winning and losing is important. But I think that to me, it's like I just wish that they could do a better job of really, encouraging kids to I wish it showed more about how sorry, I'm doing terrible. It was more about real testing as opposed to this crazy kind of testing that they do in school. But
right. It was like a A, B, C, and D type test for many years.
Yeah.
And then recently, in the last 3 to 4 years, it's gone so that it does evaluate and show more of their critical thinking skills.
Oh, good.
However, you're right. It's a 2-week period, and if things are going on at home or they're just not good at testing, it could throw the whole year off and all their efforts, and you don't want to discourage them.
Yeah.
So you're right. If we could do mini tests throughout the school year and then evaluate from there, that might be a good way to go in the future.
Yeah. And plus, if you find out there's a problem early, you could help. Maybe it might help more. I don't know. What do I know about teaching little kids though? I'm only the room parent. I'm not the actual teacher in a room. So.
Those are valuable. Room parents are very valuable.
I just send emails and keep the other parents from trying to cause drama in the classroom. Those are my 2 jobs, I feel like.
That's good.
Actually, last year, my teacher was pretty serious. My son's teacher was pretty serious. And so she didn't decorate her classroom for Thanksgiving or something, or Halloween. And so so some of the parents wanted to go in her classroom and decorate for the holidays.
I don't know about
that. So I was like, no, you can't do that. I was like, that'd be like me going into your home and decorating your home without your permission. That's just if she wants us to do it, I will help her and we could get volunteers to help her. But if she doesn't want us to do it, then that's not our job to do it.
Good advice.
And they wanted to throw parties all the time. And I'm like, she tells me when she wants to throw a party, and I help her organize a party, but we're not doing a party for every holiday that she doesn't want. That's that's her job. But these parents are they have a lot of the good intentions, right? They want to be involved and stuff, but it's just no. I think you, as an Asian parent, I'm like, they should be studying anyway. Why are they doing this, Thanksgiving dinner? I'm Asian.
No sugar at these parties.
Yeah, we need more work, not less parties, more work.
You're right.
Okay. My last one is just do your homework. Do the homework.
Simple, right?
It's the easiest way to get a good grade. It's just do the work. And I think that's people always magically think that one of the pieces of advice I had for my son is like, if you have like a 10-page paper that's due in like a month, instead of waiting till like the day before, do 2 pages a day for 5 days. Do whatever amount of work you need to do, but do it over a course of time, then put it away and come back. It's just like my screenwriting, I don't write 100 pages in 1 week. Well, I do, but I do beats, or I do moments, right? And I kind of do a little bit, and then I do a little bit, and I do a little bit, and over the course of whatever time it'll be done. But it's never a good idea to wait till the last second, I think. And that causes extra undue stress, and it's usually not your best work. For me, personally speaking, if I take a longer amount of time, it's usually going to be better. And it gives me time to as in college, I would give my TA the paper like 2 weeks early and ask them to review it.
Right.
And then they review it, they give me notes, I rewrite it. And now it's good. Right. Mm-hmm. As opposed to, it was fine before, but now it's like really good, because they've looked at it and, they've had a chance to kind of go there.
Oh yeah. If you wait for the last minute, there's no way, or there's no time for revisions. So that's really good advice.
Well, and also just, it's that stress. I hate that stress of just being like, having something like looming over you, and to be like, and then, cause to me that doesn't lead to the best work in this kind of like, and especially in around like that kind of writing stuff. To me, it's like, I want time, and I want time to like really like craft my words and think about things a little bit. And sometimes that just takes time,
Mm-hmm.
So, all right. Well, thanks for your 5 advice. That was really, really great. So, every episode I always end with my guests asking them to give one life advice that we haven't covered that you wish you knew that you'd like to give my son. So do you know anything? Do you have anything? I know I'm putting you on the spot, by the way. So if you don't have anything, that's fine.
Okay, this is for you. Well, first of all, you have a great dad. But second, I would like to say that your first and most important teacher are your parents. And growing up as an only child, that made that even more so. So listen to them, take their advice. As you grow up, you'll learn what you can use, what you can't. But be grateful for their time. Be grateful what they pass on to you, and let them know. Let them know when you get older, they'll be older. So thank them for all they taught you.
That's hilarious that you say that, because one of the reasons I started this was my family. When I grew up, we had no rules.
Oh wow! Okay.
So
we could have been brothers. We should have grown. I would have been in your family.
So they had no rule. I never had a curfew.
Uh-oh.
I never had any kind of rules. So
how are you still here then? No,
I know, like it was crazy. Like, but you know what it meant? It just meant that I created my own rules.
Oh,
but there were rules from like an 8-year-old making rules for themselves. Wow. Like it's kind of odd. Like it's like, yeah, it's like rules that you don't know. Like you just don't know like enough about life to make rules. But I was like making rules. So I have like in my life, I have like super silly rules about what I can and can't do. Okay. And it's like
it started as an 8-year-old.
Yeah, so like that's why that's why one of the reasons I'm doing this is I want to be able to pass on some not rules but advice. Okay. And actually, funny story. Have you remember the wear sunscreen song or graduation thing in the mid 90s? Do you remember that? It was like the only advice I have is wear sunscreen.
Right.
Do you remember that? No.
Vaguely.
Okay. Well, it's funny because before I started this podcast, actually, I listened to that song, and it was hilarious because it was great advice.
Oh.
And I remember listening to it because it was like around graduation when I was graduating in college, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny, ha ha ha!" But it's like crazy because all that advice is like perfect. It's that's kind of what this is that I think that it's a similar kind of being able to listen to advice. And what I believe is at some point he'll take some of this and other stuff he won't. And some of the stuff is not relevant until later. And some of it's relevant only now. So cause this stuff is all relevant until he goes to like graduate school, and then after that, it's not as relevant.
On his own.
Yeah. On his own. But great. So thank you so much, Scott, for coming on.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. It's great to be on.
We really appreciate it. So please, for everybody, please rate, review, subscribe to the podcast. And please make sure to tell a friend about it. It's the only way this gets going. Also, if you have time, please listen to my other podcast, Best or Worst Podcast with Martin Mopoma. and also my newest podcast, Midnight Watchers with Quentin Lee and Jennifer Field, where we review horror movies. All right. Well, thank you so much. And thank you, Scott. And thank you guys for listening.